Drying filament one spool at a time no longer makes sense. Today it is fashionable to dry multiple spools of filament at once. But what if you need different temperatures for different spools and then need to store those spools with dried filament somewhere? That's exactly what today's video will be about. The product featured in this video was sent to me free of charge for review purposes. However, no one has any influence on the content of this video and no one is paying me for it. Let's unpack this miracle. After opening the box, we find this very extensive one-page double-sided manual in English. Then, there are two main boxes which serve not only as dry boxes for filament spools but also as boxes in which the filament is dried. Under these boxes is the dryer itself. At the top, you can see the labels indicating the position of the first and second box. At the back, there is only a power cable connection and a power button. On the right side, there are marked holes which are probably for another planned version of the dryer. There is also a USB-C connector which is used to update the dryer's firmware. There is nothing on the left side. The resistive touchscreen on the front can be tilted to 3 positions. On the bottom of the dryer, there is only a fan for cooling the electronics. You can see several things here. This small square is actually a sensor that detects the presence of the box on the dryer. This allows the dryer to detect the presence of the box and stop drying if necessary. Next to it, you can see a radial fan with a small plate with hygrometer. Through this opening, the dryer draws in moist air from the box, which is pushed through a 120-watt PTC heater at the other end. This heated air is then discharged back into the box through this opening. Let's take a closer look at those lockable plastic filament boxes. You will find two in the package. In one of them, you will find a bag with a power cable and these 4 PTFE tubes. In each box, it was necessary to remove these straps that hold these shafts in place. Thanks to them, up to 2 1-kilo spools inside the box can rotate freely. The box has no insulation around the lid, but it does have a very good locking mechanism. The box also comes with this paper moisture meter, which can be replaced if necessary. According to it, the humidity in the box is currently around 40%. The box lid has a total of 6 closable openings. 4 can be used to pull the filament out of the box using those PTFE tubes. The remaining 2 serve to allow moisture to escape from the box during drying and are also closable. These 2 metal sheets are magnetically attached to the bottom of the box. These are used to seal the openings originally intended for the entry and exit of the heated air from the box during drying. This allows these boxes to be converted into dry boxes for storing dried filament. As you can see, these openings contain bags with moisture absorbers. We will get to them in a slightly unusual way. First, we need to remove these shafts from inside the box. And then this cover which holds the bags in place. The moisture absorber can be used repeatedly, so there is no need to enter this space at all. Let's turn on the dryer and see what it can do. When you turn on the dryer, you will get a prompt to choose one of the 2 languages the dryer supports. The first place I went was the settings tab to change the temperature unit. You can also set how long it takes for the dryer screen to turn off. On the second page, you can change the language of the dryer menu as seen after starting it up. Otherwise, there is nothing interesting here. More interesting is the Intelligent Control tab. As first is automatic drying. You can enable automatic drying, which starts whether the humidity in the box rises above 50% and stops when it falls below 25%. I'm a little disappointed that you can't set the limits at which drying turns on and off, because in my case, automatic drying will probably never turn on. There's also a silent mode, which reduces the noise level during drying, but also reduces drying efficiency by approximately 30%. We will take a closer look at this later in this video. Finally, there is the option to disable detection of the presence of the filament drying box. In this tab, you can set one of 4 preset temperature profiles for one or both boxes. On the main screen, we have an overview of the temperature in the selected box and the set temperature, which can be changed by touch up to 70 degrees. There is also an overview of the current humidity in the box and 2 fields for the desired drying time, which can be up to 99 hours and 59 minutes. So, -1 minute, that's a total of 4 days and 4 hours. There is also a button that opens a list of 3 preset profiles for drying different groups of materials. Personally, I take this list with a grain of salt. Drying PA, aka nylon, at only 60 degrees C for only 4 hours is more of a waste of time than useful. According to its temperature measurement, the empty dryer reached a temperature of 70 degrees C in 8 minutes. As with all previous filament dryers, I will test this one using a spool of nylon from Gambert. The reason why I always use this filament is simple. This filament is so bad that it's probably not suitable for anything else. And as you can hear, this filament really needs drying. As a first step, I printed this test cylinder to see what condition the filament is currently in. As previously heard and now also visible in print, this filament really needs to be dried. But first, I will label this model as a model with 0 hours of drying time. Then I weighted the spool with the remaining filaments to find out its weight before the first drying. Before drying, the spool was 742.8 grams. I put the spool to dry for 12 hours at a temperature of 70 degrees C. After 12 hours of drying, the filament spool was 738 grams. This means that the dryer removed 4.8 grams of moisture. After drying, I repeated the printing of the test model. The printed model clearly shows how the print quality was getting worse. During these 12 hours of drying, only the top layers of the spool were dried. The filament in the older layers of the spool remained undried. I had no choice but to continue drying. Before drying, the spool was 736.2 grams. I put the spool back in to dry for 12 hours at a temperature of 70 degrees C. After another 12 hours of drying, the spool was 734.8 grams. For us, this means that the dryer dried 1.4 grams of moisture. After drying, I repeated the printing of the test model. Here you can see that the longer drying time really helped the print quality. The print is significantly cleaner, but there are still many imperfections visible. That's why I decided to dry it one more time. Before drying, the spool was 733.4 grams. I put the spool back to dry for 12 hours at a temperature of 70 degrees C. I stopped drying after just 6 hours. After these 6 hours, the spool was 732.8 grams. For us, this means that the dryer dried only 0.6 grams of moisture. After drying, I obviously reprinted the test model. I printed it on a different print plate and with adhesive, so the print wouldn't tear off like it had with the previous one. When removing it though, I was a bit impatient and damaged the print. That said, it doesn't affect showing the quality of the drying or the print quality. As you can see for yourself, 30 hours of drying significantly improved the print quality. Even when compared to the previous print, after 24 hours of drying, an improvement in print quality can be seen. It is clear to me that for longer printing, it would be necessary to continue drying. However, this drying time was sufficient for my test model. Here's a comparison of how the print looked before drying and how it looks now after 30 hours of drying. I don't know about you, but I see quite a noticeable difference in print quality. Let's now focus on these filament boxes instead of the dryer itself. These boxes have two uses. One use is for drying filament, which you have probably all figured out by now. The second use is perhaps even more interesting. You can also buy these boxes separately. You can use the box with dried filament and covered holes as a dry box for storing dried filament. so there is no problem leaving the dried filament in the box and printing from it while the dryer dries another filament in another box. That's something all the dryers just can't do. In addition, the boxes can be stacked on top of each other without any problems, which makes them even easier to store. If you own AMS Lite from Bambulab, there is nothing stopping you from placing it on two of these boxes and actually printing directly from the box. Since the boxes also serve as dry boxes, I decided to conduct a little experiment. Out of curiosity, I left the filament spool to dry for 4 hours. After drying, I closed the box and watched how the humidity inside the box would change. During the cooling of the box, not only the temperature but also the humidity stabilized inside it. Even after 4 days, it remained below 20%. After turning on the dryer, I was slightly surprised by how noisy it was. Slightly surprised. That's not probably strong enough. Just to give you an idea, this is what the AMS2 Pro dryer from Bambulab sounds like. And this is what this dryer sounds like when drying both boxes. The difference when drying only one box is not that significant. Although the dryer has a quiet drying mode, it will still get on your nerves after a while. This brings us to the criticism and praise of this dryer. Probably the biggest criticism will be directed at the noise level during drying. When I first turned on the dryer, intended to leave it running overnight, my wife asked me if I was serious.
Are you joking?
The second criticism will be directed at the display. The menu design and layout of items is very good. What's a pain here is the touchscreen layer. It is a resistive touchscreen that responds to touch according to mood, ambient temperature, and the constellation of stars. The third criticism concerns the paper moisture meter, which is really only a rough indicator here. But I will smoothly move on to praise. However, the first praise will not go to the dryer itself, but to the community around it. You can find various models for this dryer at printables.com. Like this model, for example, which allows you to replace your paper moisture meter with a digital one. Or various adapters for using this dryer with older dry boxes. The second and final praise must definitely go to the overall concept and chosen design. Thanks to its design, it does not take up as much space as competing products and can be used with multiple printers at once. It is also no problem to dry 2 spools in one box, where you will print from one spool and the other will dry as a reserve. I haven't said anything yet about the price of this miracle. The price of this dryer on the manufacturer's official website is just under 120 euros. An additional drying box can be purchased for just over 34 euros. I really like the dryer and originally considering buying it. So I am very happy that I was offered the opportunity to review this dryer and that I was able to try it out. This gave me an idea of what I was missing in all the dryers. With this dryer, I would love to see single spool boxes and 4 separate drying zones. 2 zones are great, but 4 would be absolutely perfect. While 70 degrees C is technically enough to dry filament, I would be a bit happier with 85 or even 90 degrees C. The touchscreen and hygrometer in the box are probably not worth mentioning. And the last one is probably just an idea for the future or a small suggestion for improvement towards the community. Imagine self-closing bottom vents that would only open when the box was placed on the dryer. Well, that brings us to the end of this video. As always, I can't tell you whether you should buy this dryer or not. As I said, I really like the dryer and originally wanted to buy one myself. It does have some shortcomings, but they have no effect on drying and storing filament. So if you don't see these shortcomings as an obstacle and you like the dryer, I certainly wouldn't discourage you from buying it.